How's it gaming? I'm Phil in the Blanks, and welcome back to the Black Box Files with File 18, Donkey Kong. We are now completely done with the North American NES launch of '85, and we're on to June 1986. It's hard to believe, but yeah, it took them 6 months, more than 6 months, to release more games for the NES. By this point, though, the NES was more than just the little test markets in like New York and I think LA or something, and now it was starting to be a cross America and Canada sort of thing. So they were like, oh cool, let's release more games. And there's a small little batch of 5 or 6 games in June in 1986, and pretty much all of them are based on Nintendo's famous arcade games, which is why these black box games specifically have the original kind of on top of their names. This is the original Donkey Kong, and had a little bit of a silver stripe you saw at the beginning of the episode when we saw the box that looks slightly different. Let's jump in there into the NES version of Donkey Kong. Classic music. Now, this is actually the very, very, very first game, launch day, for the Japanese Famicom in 1983, paired along with its sequel, Donkey Kong Jr. And the NES was pretty much made so that it could run a good game of Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong up to this point had been ported to a lot that was really close. Ported to a lot of different consoles, like the Commodore, the Atari, the Intellivision, but they weren't very good. Like, the generation of games couldn't really handle the arcade experience. And basically what Nintendo set out to do was to make a console that could run the arcade version of Donkey Kong, or something very close, without having to sacrifice anything. Now, they didn't technically make it, because this game does sacrifice something. And the main thing it sacrifices is 1/4 of the game. I think it's the second level in the original game, the cement factory, or some people call it the pie factory. That level is completely missing from this version of the game. So we actually just move on from 25 meters, which is this level here, to 75 meters, which is the next level. It has a little bit more of a vertical kind of thing. Here we go. It also doesn't have the animations with Donkey Kong actually climbing up the area and forming the stage, or grabbing Pauline and leaving the level, which is pretty cool in the original game. But this is the version that I know. It is a lot easier than the arcade version. This is not a problem to get through, but the original arcade version of Donkey Kong is difficult. I think they did a little thing, and the average game of Donkey Kong lasts like 50-something seconds, like for a full quarter, like all 3 lives, and like that's insane. But it was a lot more difficult than this version of the game. This was toned down a bit for home console use, which is fine. It's how I would want it, to be honest. I'd want to be able to do at least one loop of the game without getting super frustrated. And here we are, the last level, 100 meters, where instead of getting up to where Donkey Kong and Pauline are, the point of the level is to destroy these little, I don't know what they're called, just these little things that hold the level kind of up. Ah, you're gonna kill me. Oh my gosh, I couldn't leave the ladder. You gotta get those little things off of the girders, and that will cause the stage to fall down, basically. If this seems familiar on this channel already, we have played this technically on the NES, what was it called? The NES World Championship game that came out on the Switch last year. We played that last year, and that was one of the ideas for the Black Box Files, was because of that. And the other way we might have seen something similar to this is back when we played Donkey Kong 94, which was a Game Boy game, a Super Game Boy game, the first game to use Super Game Boy. And this was the 4th level in that game. And after you beat that, you still had 96 more levels. That game was absolutely gigantic. But not so in this one. This is one of those games that you got because you liked the arcade. It wasn't meant to really show off the NES. Even Super Mario Brothers was a launch title, and that was way more impressive than this game. I just think people were like, wow, this is extremely similar to the actual arcade version of Donkey Kong. Very impressive. So it's for those people, probably a little bit of an older crowd, I guess. Because it doesn't seem it, but in 1981 to 1986 in gaming was a massive jump. Massive amount of time. Nowadays, we're still playing Grand Theft Auto 5. That game came out friggin' more than 11 years ago. Though GTA 6 hopefully will come out one day. But yeah, we're used to the idea of like a franchise only having one entry for like 6 or 7 years. Back then, though, 6 years was a massive leap in technology, and this was like considered retro, basically. arcade games look very different too. It's crazy. Mario, as you can see, is not very kind of acrobatic or dexterous in this game. You can't fall very much. In fact, if I fall from here, I'm just going to walk to the left. You fall immediately straight down and die. You can jump down, I think, the space of two like tiles, I guess, and it's crazy. But this is also before Mario could like jump around and do all the stuff he could in Super Mario Brothers. Because this, in 1981, the date of the original arcade version of the game, was the very, very, very first appearance of Mario, Donkey Kong, and Pauline. Also, we're going to do a little shortcut. Haha, skip the whole level. I actually want to see if we can survive a jump of two tiles. Or like a fall of two tiles, like right here. He can't! He can only survive a fall of one tile. Maybe he can't survive a fall at all. Maybe he can survive a jump. Anyways, this game in 1981 was made by Shigeru Miyamoto. You might have heard of him. He's somewhat important in Nintendo lore by creating, you know, Mario and Donkey Kong and Zelda and a bunch of other things. Pikmin and... But he made this game, and it introduced these three characters back when Donkey Kong was named Donkey Kong, Mario's called Jumpman, and even older versions of the game before the game came out, Mr. Video, and Pauline was known simply as Lady. By the time this came out on the Famicom, though, the characters had full names and all that, so... But originally, Nintendo, specifically Miyamoto, wanted to make a game based off of Popeye. Popeye being a very popular, I guess, cartoon series in Japan at the time. I love Popeye. I think Popeye's great. But that's not where I would have went. I guess the idea was that Miyamoto wanted to introduce a story, which really wasn't a thing in video games. I mean, Pac-Man had, like, little cutscenes, but I wouldn't call it a story. This was, you know... The idea was that Bluto, or Brutus, there's different versions of that character's name, steals olive oil and Popeye must save the day. When the licensing with King Entertainment didn't go through properly, Miyamoto needed to think of something else, so he invented his own characters, and he made Donkey Kong, thinking that Kong was basically shorthand for monkey, and Donkey was shorthand for stubborn. So this game was basically Stubborn Monkey. Now, I think we all know the story now that after Donkey Kong came out, Universal Studios got kind of upset and was like, this is a ripoff of King Kong, and sued Nintendo. And Nintendo won. Because, I don't know what the year, but years prior, Universal Studios actually had proven that King Kong was a fair use license that anyone could use for any reason, so... And the crazy part is Universal Studios knew that. That wasn't like a surprise to them. So imagine going to court, bringing a relatively small company at the time with Nintendo, and then getting your ass just handed to you by showing that you lied about you owning the thing you're claiming to own. But that is Donkey Kong. It's a great game. It continues on forever. It's a shame that we don't get the Pie Factory. Actually, you do in Donkey Kong... What was it? Donkey Kong Original or something like that? Which was a, I believe, Wii version of the game that they never really re-released, but it reintroduced the second level. It's kind of neat. But, oh, you know what? Before we go, let's just die real quick. There is a small glitch that I want to show you. It's how you speedrun the game. It's pretty neat. So game over. We'll jump right back in there. You can do it on player B. That's just a harder difficulty. You start like in a fewer, like later loop or something like that. All right, let's see what we can do. It requires pretty perfect placement of Mario. I mean, like... Ah, there we go! We grab the ladder and we wrap around to the top of the screen, and we save Pauline in record time. That's a fun little glitch. But anyways, that is all for that. I mean, Donkey Kong's not a very long game. The next few games actually are all basically, like I said, based off of classic Nintendo arcade games. So none of them are going to be very long. I am looking forward to the next game on the list. Our first direct sequel, file number 19, Donkey Kong Jr. Goodbye, Cruel World. I'm Phil LeBlancs. See you next level. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this episode, click that subscribe button and hit the bell icon to know when the next episode is up. If you want to support my channel, share some videos with some friends and consider supporting me on Patreon.